If you're not at a table, you might pick a table now. We'll be moving around a bit later, so it doesn't really matter where you are at the moment. What matters is that you're here, and my job really is to welcome you here this morning and to express our appreciation for you taking this time out to do this, because it's a very important exercise for the community. I need to say at the beginning of the meeting that WestCat is filming the meeting, and Connor is over there behind the camera, and to ask if anybody else is filming or plans to film the meeting. All right, seeing nothing, then it's WestCat. So again, thank you for coming. We do appreciate this. We clearly have been cursed with perfect weather, and that I'm going to guess has affected the turnout, but this is actually outstanding turnout, so we're appreciating that. As you undoubtedly know, because you're here, Westwood is undertaking an update of its 2000 comprehensive plan, and it's been amazing to me how many people have come through the door who are involved in that exercise as well. A comprehensive plan, and people are going to be talking about this in more detail in a moment, but a comprehensive plan is sort of a document in text and maps and illustrations that kind of lay out what the town believes it should be in the future. And that's what we're going to start the public process of today. And it's just the beginning of the public process. In order to understand where the town wants to be in the future, we need to engage the citizens in that question, and that's precisely what we're going to do today. Let me go move on to my next slide. Now, who is doing this? The Select Board in November of 2018 appointed a 17-member steering committee. The names of the people on that committee are listed on this slide. And I would ask the people on the steering committee to stand up so people can see you. And so almost all of them are here, which is good. Then they have a role to play today. And there's also members, and so that steering committee members are going to be responsible for producing that plan. Of course, with the capable assistance of the town planning division, and Abby McKay, the town planner, is here, and Karen Flynn was here, still here, Karen, and Nora Loughnane is here as well, I think, or was. Anyway, that's our professional staff. We also have hired, in order to assist us with this part of the project, the public participation part of the project, we retained consultants, and they're listed there, Daphne Politis from the Community Circle and Judy Barrett from the Barrett Planning Group. And they have been fantastic so far, and I think you'll see that as we go on later today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over, and we'll talk about what's going to happen today, and we're going to give you a little bit of background on comprehensive planning for Westwood. So with that, I'll introduce Daphne.
Thank you, Jack. So, hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you. My name is Daphne Politis. I'm here with my partner, Judy Barrett. There she is. And we're very happy to see you because we've been planning this event and hoping that it wasn't going to be just us, especially when we saw the weather report. So we really appreciate that you have arrived. And we hope you stay, and we hope it's informative as well as fun. And we're trying to do it. We're trying to make it so. So before we start, what I'd like to ask, if you would just call out, how did you hear about this event? Just call it out.
Online.
Facebook, online, email, survey, posted downtown, Council on Aging, friends talking about it. So Abby, steering committee, that means you have to do all of it all over again throughout this process, because it doesn't sound like there's just one way that you heard. So, because I know that both Abby and the committee tried really hard to reach out. So, oh, can somebody else be doing the... I can't do that thing, you know, when I talk and I do that at the same time. Thanks. So, as Jack said, you're in the process of updating your comprehensive plan. It's something that Judy and I do in many towns and cities across this state and other states, and believe in it very strongly. But some people wonder, you know, like, what are we talking about? What is a comprehensive plan? And it's not unusual to ask that question because it really doesn't tell you what it is in the name of it, comprehensive plan. Comprehensive about what? Well, really, it's about it's a basis for decision making for future development. So it's about the physical nature of your town, but not only. It's a process where we try to identify what are the shared values, what are the shared goals that the people who live and work here have. In other words, what do they like about living and working here? What don't they like about it? How do they think it can be improved? What's missing? All of those. And then it's setting priorities, because we can talk all about those things and we can identify where most people agree, but resources are necessarily limited. So when I say resources, I don't only mean money. There's time, attention, political will. So you need to make choices. So we need to understand your priorities. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about today. What are all the things that you would like for Westwood in the future, but what are the priorities that the town should be paying attention to? So why bother planning? Why don't we just let things, we seem to be doing fine. Why would we make any change? So it's an opportunity to take stock. One of the things that a comprehensive plan has by Massachusetts statute is that it does an inventory of your existing resources in all kinds of categories: housing, economic development, open space and recreation, natural resources, cultural and historic, transportation and circulation, land use and zoning, and public facilities and services. So take stock of everything that you have going for you in your town. And examine your resource allocation. So where is money being spent? Where is time being spent? Where is staff? Are there ways of being more efficient? Are there things you can regionalize? Your last completed plan was in 2000. I have to say, while I've been quite impressed with other aspects of your town, that's kind of a long time ago. So it is time. And it's about being proactive. It's about trying to think about the future and getting ahead of it, and not just being reactive. And it also, if you have a completed, adopted plan, then you're more eligible for grant funding. The state looks upon you more favorably, but frankly, also so do private investors, because then they say, oh, this town knows what it wants. It can be, there'll be less risk in moving forward, because I'm just going to understand through this plan what they want and try to address it. So when we come to places like Westwood, which, we're just learning about the town, but frankly, it's quite lovely. And I think a lot of times when people live in a town like this, they say, well, why do we need to do anything? We don't want anything to change. We like it the way it is. Well, we just want to point out that doing nothing doesn't mean nothing is going to change. This is the cover of your 2000 plan. It was a horse farm. And the reason it made the cover is that people loved it, except it wasn't protected, and it changed, and now it's a subdivision. Now, of course, the people who had that property had the right to do that. It's just that we want you to understand that just because you don't want anything to change doesn't mean you don't do anything. So, how do you go about doing this comprehensive plan? Where do you start? You start with, what do we have? What does Westwood have? Just like I said in those categories, what are the resources that the town has? And then what do we want? That's what we're doing here today, is talking about what is it that you want. And then what is most important? What are the priorities? So from what you have, an inventory of your existing resources, to what you want, the vision and goals we're going to develop together today, how do we get to those most important priorities? That's an action plan that's developed, an implementation plan. The process usually takes 12 to 18 months, and this is the beginning. And we've invited you here as just part of this process of community engagement. This is the beginning of the community conversation. There's been a survey that went out. That was also part of it, but this is now going to continue on. Those are the categories that I mentioned, that the inventory addresses, and also the implementation plan. Go ahead. And now I'm going to give it over to Abby, who's going to tell you about planning to date.
Thank you, Daphne. I'm Abby McCabe. I'm the town planner, and I'm working with the Comprehensive Planning Committee. I'm going to give you an overview of changes accomplished in Westwood since 2000. As we're updating the current plan to today, to 2019, it's important for us to evaluate and look at where we are today so that we can help plan where we want to go in the next 10 to 15 years. From the 2000 plan focused on 6 key priority areas that were identified at that time. That was to preserve open space, manage growth, to diversify the residential housing stock, increase the commercial tax base, preserve the historic character, and to focus on improving our town centers. Some of the major changes that we've seen in the last 19 years, we've had a population increase due to slight population increase. We have some new development. Back in 2000, when we completed the plan, we were at 14,117 residents. Right now, we've seen, that's the 2010 census number. We're getting ready to, for next year, there'll be a new census, but we know that we've had about 1,200 new housing units. So we're about 15,300 residents right now, according to the 2017 census estimate. And one of the biggest changes really since 2000 is the changes in technology. We had the internet, we had a website back then, but the electronic communications has come a long way since 2000. As many of you heard, email is a lot more widely used. We have social media. The planning committee and the planning board have recently gone to fully electronic permitting. We've had a Facebook page, so we're able to have applicants submit their applications online to various boards and committees, and then that information is easily available to residents. You can sign up for listservs. If anyone hasn't, we have information here, but all plans and application materials are available online. So it's easier for us to get, to be more transparent and distribute information. And then also on the side, we have the biggest changes since 2000 is that we've had University Station project, 120 acres of commercial development, office, retail, residential, and our hotel uses. We've also seen improvements on Route 1 with the prime auto dealerships. We've seen changes recently in Islington Center, and that includes the some of the mixed-use buildings and some community buildings as well that are beginning their construction for a multi-year project. One of the other important aspects that came out of our 2000 plan was open space preservation and protecting our natural and cultural resources. At the time when we were finishing up our comprehensive plan in 2000, we established the Westwood Land Trust. They were established right at the time of completing the 2000 plan, and they've protected over 220 acres fully through conservation restrictions. So that land has been acquired and permanently protected. The town in various general bylaws, zoning bylaws, and rules and regulations have made significant strides. We've adopted zoning focused on open space protection and try to cluster residential development to preserve and protect open space. We've adopted stormwater policies. The Conservation Commission is a stormwater review authority for any large developments that are disturbing land, and we have the energy code required as part of our building plans. We've also established a pedestrian and bike safety committee. That's a committee of residents that hears and takes concerns from residents and makes recommendations to the town to the select board, public works, public safety, and planning board. Some changes in housing. One of the goals of the 2000 plan was to diversify our housing stock, and we've had some new apartments and condos and also some senior residential development. In 2015, Westwood, with the University Station project, we did meet our required affordable requirements, which the state took us 45 years which is called Mass Chapter 40B, which requires 10% of the town's year-round housing stock to be affordable housing. And we met that with our University Station project. Back in 2000, we were at 492 units, affordable units, that was on our subsidized housing inventory. Today, we have 588, and we have more to be added later this year with the 100 new condos that are under construction right now at University Station. Those will be opening later this year. Also, the planning board recently approved at the former Westwood Lodge 40 senior housing as part of an open space residential development. So there are 6 affordable units that will come out of that project, some new housing, and most importantly, it protects and preserves some open space. There's an open space area, and the soccer fields are preserved with that project. We've also seen some infrastructure and transportation improvements. We have some bike lanes, some shared use path at University Station area. We've seen intersection improvements, traffic calming, particularly in the area of the Canton Everett Forbes after University Station. We've seen some new fields, some park improvements, some playground improvements, and finally, the East Street Bridge replacement project is fully underway and on its way to being completed later this year. We've seen many new community facilities be improved. We have the new high school, new fire station in Islington, the new police station, the new library in 2005, and then the Islington branch library has been approved, and later this year will be relocated and renovated, and then also expanded with a new addition for some town offices and community space later this year. We have a new Carby Street Municipal Building, and then we've also made strides in historic preservation. We've moved some historic buildings. The Colburn School was relocated and restored, and is now 6 residential units and currently a bank, as well as the Fisher School was renovated a few years ago, in the Obed Baker House was relocated and restored, and we're still looking for a user for that property. In terms of economic development, we've seen University Station has had a large impact on Westwood. We've had over 1,600 jobs created with that project, and over $5 million in additional tax revenue that's come to the town from that project. Another 600 jobs are expected with the Citizens Bank. That was just approved in the last couple of weeks with the planning board and the town meeting. That is a new 4-story office building. They're starting construction this month. That's at the top of the hill behind Wegmans. And then we've also seen recent redevelopment in Islington Center and the prime auto dealerships on Route 1. Other examples at protecting our natural resources and open space, we've done a good amount of invasive species removal. We've had some hydro raking to try to clean up our ponds and remove some of that rooted vegetation. Dam repair, field improvements, and recently safe routes to school, school sidewalk and crosswalk improvements at the Downey School. And recently, the town has partnered with Hale Reservation and the Pedestrian Bike Safety Committee for a trails program where we have assistance and looking for volunteers and try to coordinate various cleanups and lead hikes. And now I'll turn it back to Daphne to go over the public process and following for today.
Thanks, Abby. I think you can agree that that's a pretty impressive list. Judy and I were just conferring that that's not even 20 years that the town has accomplished all that. But the main point of talking about that today is to demonstrate that that all came out of a planning process. That was all the result of the previous comprehensive plan. So that's why your being here is so important today, because the town needs to understand what to include, what to prioritize in the next comprehensive plan. So that's the point of this process. That's the point of the community conversation. And as I said earlier, this is just the beginning. The town will reach out to you throughout the whole process, asking you, did we get this right? Is there anything else you'd like to add? What about this particular specific housing issue? What about this specific issue about, the bike lanes? So you'll be all along, as it gets more and more specific, you'll be asked to react. You'll be asked to respond. So those are a particular moments in time throughout the next few months, but it continues online. So there's existing Facebook pages. The planning board has a Facebook page, which some of you, it seems, already look at. So you can go there and see what's happening. There may be questions asked of you. And then the town website will have postings, announcements, drafts, so that you can be kept abreast as to the progress of this plan. So there were 811 responses to the survey that went out that's related to this process. And these are just kind of some of the things that came out of that. Favorite things: safety, schools, location, good place to raise a family. Prioritize preservation of open space and natural resources, which is similar to the first plan. Pedestrian infrastructure, and more restaurants and dining. Those are just a few samplings. So, one of the things that a comprehensive plan does is try to understand what makes a place special, what makes it unique, and then try to preserve that and enhance it. So what we'd like to understand, and a lot of the survey responses kind of refer to that, but did not get specific. So we want you to get specific. We've asked 3 questions that kind of get to this point. And you have little slips of paper on your tables that ask those 3 questions. What we'd like you to do is at some point today, before you leave, fill the 3 out. If you don't feel like filling all 3 out, no one's going to force you. But we would like to hear from all of you, if you could, fill out all 3, and then walk up to that purple sticky board, and just all you need to do is press it against the wall, just rub it a little bit, and it'll stay. Try to keep it in the columns. Unique, what's a special place, what are other features that make the town unique, and then how do you define the town's character? There's a lot of talk about preserving the town's character. Well, what is that? How would you define that? Can you help us identify the features that define this town's character? So when you fill out those slips of paper, put them on the sticky wall, and there also is online a call for selfies. Please take this seriously. Go and take a selfie at your favorite special place and post that photo with a caption. And those are the ones that are on the Facebook page now. We just printed them up so you could see them. See if you agree, see if there's something that's missing. Abby. So, trying to get through this quickly because we want the bulk of this time to be about listening to you. What we'd like to do now is we're going to break out into small discussion groups. Not just yet, 1 minute, please. Everyone is going to be discussing the same thing, so you don't need to be eavesdropping and wondering what they're talking about the next table, because they're talking about just what you're talking about. And then each group will come together, as a large group, we'll all come back together, and each group will share their group's priorities. So you don't need to wonder what they came up with. The other reason you don't need to wonder is that everything will be written up and it will be posted. So at the end of today, you will hear what each group's priorities are, but in a couple of weeks' time, you will know everything that each group said. So don't worry about what the others are saying. Now, after the report back, and at the very end, we're going to hold the raffle. You just need you to know, you need to be present to win the raffle. It's our way of thanking you for staying for the whole thing. So, the local businesses have been very generous, as have been members of the steering committee. I'm not even going to tell you what those things are. You need to wait to find out. Okay, So while the group over there is wrapping up, we'd like to keep on schedule. And I'd like to ask you to just take a moment and think about what we're doing. So we're planning for the future, right? So we'd like to hear from that future before we hear from the rest of you. Future? Please welcome the future. So, could you please tell us what you think about Westwood now and in the future? And before you do, before anyone speaks, each of you just say your name and your age, please.
My name is Sadie Rogers, and I'm in 9th grade. Sorry. Oh, hello. Oh, sorry.
Hi, I'm Hiba, and I'm a freshman in high school.
My name's Elizabeth Slocum, and I'm 16, a freshman in high school.
I'm Layla Nicholas. I'm also a freshman in high school.
So like in the future in Westwood, I live in Islington, and I notice a lot of the time where like the trash cans, it says recycle and trash, but I've looked actually in it, and it's just all together. Like they don't like they just combine them and not like separate them, and I feel like they should be separated because I don't think it's kind of fair that they kind of like combine them, because like people actually think they're doing something right when they're really not. So I think they should kind of like start to do that, so then we could start to have like a good world.
So another thing we would love to have in Westwood is it's been starting to happen in parks where there's a library, a mini library where you take books and you return them and you can read them. And we would love this concept to have in like parks around the library where children can bring their books that they don't use and then take new ones which they can read from, which I think would be a really good learning experience.
Another thing we would love to see happen in Westwood is a community garden. This could be a fun way to bring the Westwood community together. The garden could include a variety of flowers, vegetables, and fruits. And this would be nice because then it would be like you can learn how to plant things, and it would inspire others to create a garden in their own backyard in the future.
So now we want to see like the little children's opinion on Westwood, and so it's your turn. So what would you love to see in Westwood? Or yes.
My name is Nina Wolewski. I am 6 years old and I'm in kindergarten. I really like the schools. Can you hold me one, please? Oh, yeah. My name is Vila. I'm 4.5, and my favorite thing is to go on my playground at my school. My name is Lucy Nolan. I'm 7, and my favorite thing about Westwood is I love to hang out with my family. I am 7, and my name is Kaylee. And my favorite thing in Westwood is going to the parks.
I hope we all listened carefully. I know I did. I hope you gave us your ideas because they were all really, really good and very relevant. And we're going to listen hard. We're going to try to take them and work with them because it's going to be the Westwood for you, right? because it takes time to do this stuff. So thank you so much. So I hope everyone give them a hand. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. So, table number 1. Would you like to tell us now? I really want to emphasize, we're going to listen to everything you said. It's all going to be written up, but we only want to hear priorities. We only want to hear priorities for question number 1. What were the top 3 things that your group decided were your favorite things about Westwood? Question number 2, what were the top 3 things that your group decided were the least favorite about Westwood? Question number 5, what were the top 3 things that your group decided, if you could do one thing, king, queen for the day, you would do? Just those 3 things is all we want to know. 3, 3, 3. So it's based on the number of dots that you use to prioritize. And you could circle those if that would help you to figure out which are the top ones. The top 3. You got them. This guy's got them. It's under control. Table number 1.
Table number 1. Number 1 we had was favorite things in Westwood was open green spaces, parks, trails, recreation. Number 2 was the close, tight-knit neighborhoods that are involved in the town of Westwood. And number 3 was the schools at all levels. Those are the favorite things from table number 1.
Least favorite?
Okay, moving on. Least favorite things that we had in the our view here was lack of connectivity between the portions of the town, lack of affordable restaurants, and basically lack of sidewalks, continuities of schools, and services and fields.
And if you could be king or queen for the day, number 5, you could do one thing to improve Westwood?
Number 1 thing to improve Westwood was walkability between town centers. Number 2 was public spaces. And number 3 was shuttle across town.
And table number 1.
Number 2? Where's number 2? Okay. Are you ready?
All right. This table's favorite things about Westwood. We had the location, neighborhood schools, and balanced and thoughtful community. That was in reference to balancing the businesses, public services, the schools, and the open space areas. Our least favorite things from this table was the lack of variety of businesses. And then also high street, similar concept, lack of the businesses. They felt that the high street business just needed some improvements. And then also town hall, it's needed to be updated. For number 5, for the one thing to change, this table's top was people remaining open-minded for the future and to listen to all views. And then it looks like we had a tie for the next 3. We had commerce on High Street, High Street as a destination area and shopping center, and the plaza on High Street, the one further down with the Dunkin' Donuts. So a lot of support for improving High Street. Should we go with this table here? Is our spokesperson? Okay.
Okay. So with our group, the number 1 item was around safety/schools in terms of favorite part about Westwood. Everyone basically said that's why they moved here. Another favorite part of the community is what's available at Hale, whether it's the membership beach, summer club, Lowwoods, which is not affiliated, but open space. So a lot around open space and programs. And the third was favorite things the community feel around the same goals, a bucolic and open space feel about Westwood. Least favorite was traffic, trucks, same thing. What actually came up you'll see it throughout our presentation if you could read this. One other thing that was our least favorite in terms of getting a lot of dots was the whole other side of town thing. How do we create community together? So another theme that we heard from our group. And then, what else am I doing here? There we go. If we were to change one thing, it really came down to traffic. It's about here in 5 different ways. And the other is to create, and one thought in particular I thought was particularly telling was some kind of collaborative regional transportation effort, because it's not just a Westwood problem. Everything funnels here, but how do we, the issue resides out that way and that way and that way. How do we, and it funnels here, how do we work together with other towns to address that? And one other is a potential for a collaborative effort between our open space that we have here in town and the schools for outdoor learning.
So we had, the usual things that we like about the schools and location and convenience and all that stuff. It's interesting how there's a correlation between what we didn't like and what we need to improve, which is no one likes the traffic. Also, the ability to get around if you don't have an automobile. And so this big solution, the things that are needed is shuttle bus service. Shuttle bus service, if we had it, would help make less traffic and would enable people to get around that can't get around. So that is interesting, the correlation on that. We did have a little Islington input at this table, and they were concerned about, the lack of development, what's going to happen in the area of Washington Street between Roach Brothers and Clappertree Street. And on the other side of the tracks, that property, could it be, senior housing and overall getting around town, again, correlates, better sidewalks, trails, better maintenance of the trails, and connecting trails and sidewalks throughout the town.
For our favorite things, the fact that Westwood is so peaceful and safe was tied for schools, and that was tied to the School Street playground. Having a local playground was important. Our least favorite things, just like everyone else says, traffic. Number 2 is taxes. People felt taxes were too high. Number 3, the downtown area, Route 109, the business district, the aesthetics. And how to improve Westwood, number 1, recycling frequency. Basically, we sort of grouped all this together. We would like to see Westwood become greener in terms of higher recycling rates, more often recycling pickup 1 week instead of 2 weeks, and more leadership from the Board of Selectmen in terms of like addressing climate change, more renewable energy, stuff like that. Number 2, or tied for 2, is, again, traffic, more opportunities for teens. We thought that, actually, sorry, I read that wrong. Recreation center. We felt a number of people thought that we should have a rec center, maybe a swimming pool for as part of that. For adults. Adult education.
Go on this side. I think you can see the repetition, our favorite things coming into 4 dots, and the solid financials were for our favorite things because we have a confidence in the town. You can see that for 3 dots, we are talking about a preservation of natural resources. Increased since 2000, our population, what you have to start to consider is the tap out on the resources, the air quality, the water, and so on. So that's something that we think some moves have been made, especially Dedham Water is very particular about our water and so on. Of course, you can see the schools are for and so on. So those are the favorites. The least favorites is you can see that this is rather striking. And let me see if I can explain this a little, because we had a very interesting discussion and we tried to say it very clearly. It came down to a lack of transparency in town developments. Regarding specific concern was the choice of the developer and the design opened up to a larger number of community participants. Once you've narrowed it down to 3 developers as your top 3, a lot more input beforehand from community people opened up so that there would be more input up front and very specific input, because we have a lot of very talented professionals in the community that can contribute to building design, safety, and so on. So that was very striking in our group. This was no town center that attracts people. Again, a really hot topic. You know, you have a long straight Route 109, and you have a dense amount of homes around it. So again, the issue is you want to have a prettier town center, you want to have a lot of things that you've mentioned, but then it's a real tough one because a developer will say, well, I can go up. You go up, you increase the population density, which affects your resources, which impacts your schools. And so we're sort of tapped out for large-scale businesses and large-scale public buildings, so it becomes a trickle-down effect. So I think that couple of our team members said it needs to be stated that this type of improvement would have to align itself with the size and scale of the existing. So it wouldn't be for more, or it would have to be to improve the quality of what's there. That would give a little more charm, which would want to bring more of us in to the space. Am I doing this one? This is 3. Go to 5? Okay. Not if we. Okay. Things to improve Westwood. You can see that here's outstanding. Got lots of dots. Traffic on 109. And then I think we came in at unifying both sides of town. Equity. Equity. It was interesting. We had to have the person speak to it quite a bit. Pointed out a couple of things. For example, Christmas lighting on Route 109. This is an example. Christmas lighting on 109. There was no Christmas lighting over in the center of Islington on Washington Street. Apparently there's someone that takes care of these beautiful light poles, the glass fixtures and so on. They outsource this, subcontract this. Pointed out the poles are peeling, the glass is chipped, maybe needs a little work, whatever, is cloudy. That hasn't been done. We landscape around all of our public buildings over here. They could use some landscaping over there and so on. So I thought that was really talking to our community. There was quite an important concern there. If we are a community, we want to bring us together as a group. You can see right here was lower taxes. So that was a big hit. And then this was, someone else mentioned town transportation, and we all agreed that a town trolley or town bus that would just circle and circle and go around and have a schedule and so on. That's just not a bad idea. I mean, any one of us could have a temporary injury, and we would need some assistance to do that. Okay, so.
Thank you. All right, our group had our note taker leave with his notes. And we put our dots on our map, which looks really awesome. It's on the table. But I'll be brief, because many of you have said what we also said. We agree with you. So we love Hale. We love our schools. And we really like what's going on with the improvements that we're seeing in Islington, right? We feel that we do not like the fact that we don't have a town center, our high property taxes, and that division between the sides of town, the idea of another side, instead of us being cohesive town. And what we would like to change, we would like to have more people getting involved in the town and in town politics and in town planning. Because many of you probably look around the room and see people that you see a lot at the planning and the voting and engagement. We also want to invest more in schools, promote walkability, and we'd like to see more culture come to Westwood. We like, other towns have theaters and cafes, and we're kind of light on that, so that'd be great to have. Okay? What?
Thanks all. You're going to hear a lot of the same themes. Our top two things we love the most are open space and strong schools, so I will not dwell on that. Number two, our least favorites were taxes and, lack of sidewalks and walkability, which is a close runner-up to an unbalanced approach to development, and a concern about our self-image and a reactive approach to development was actually a topic we spent some time on. 3. And lastly, group 6, this is one thing we could change. Lower taxes was a strong front runner, brought up by community engagement and more businesses. And I think the discussion there was more diversity of businesses, restaurants, user-friendly retail, et cetera. So, thanks.
Thank you. It's always amazing how, on the one hand, there's a lot of common themes, and on the other hand, there are things we hadn't thought of and some very good and interesting ideas. So thank you so much for taking the time, for making the effort, and for sharing your thoughts. We just want you to know we're going to write it all up. It's going to be on the town website. Look around in a couple of weeks. But mostly, take that green sheet and take it with you, put it on your refrigerator, put it somewhere where you can look at it every so often, because that is how you can stay involved and how you can tell others who weren't here. Tell them that it's important. Tell them that it was interesting. Tell them it was fun. Tell them they should be informed and they should participate. So use that sheet. So as our way of saying thank you for all that you've done today, especially sacrificing your sunbathing, we'd like to now do the raffle. So I'd like to ask Dory and Libby to help me out in this. Does anyone not have a raffle ticket? Okay. Oh, please, raise your hands. Anyone else not have a raffle ticket? Raise your hand. Looks like everyone does. Yeah. So now you read into, you see what it is. Just tell us from where it is. Just say it's a gift certificate from Camellos.
It's a gift certificate from Camellos.
Yeah, speak louder. Okay. Now, would you please give us a ticket? What did you do? Dory! I told you it's not for you, it's for everybody else. All right, Dory, could you try one more time, please? There you go. Okay, so now read the number.
It's 145936. Are we?
Now you gotta check it. Make sure.
Go check 'em?
Make sure.
Check.
Check. Make sure he has that number.
Should I go get another one?
Yeah, you can get another one. Perfect. So Libby's just checking, make sure. That's it, Libby. Good work. Okay, Dory has the next one.
Right. This is a gift card for Anthony's.
And there's the bag right here. So now, go ahead.
Number is 145927.
She was good, right? Thanks, Libby. Okay, Dory's got the next one.
All right. This is the Westwood Gardens Flower Shop. The number is 145957.
They left, they lost. Next.
All right. Next one is 145940. Do you want me to grab all of them, or do you want me to do one at a time?
I don't want to. It makes it more dramatic.
Okay, this one's for Not Your Average Joes. All right, the number is 145990. No.
They left, they lost.
All right, this one is 145992. This one's for Bubbling Brook. The number is 145941. And this is another Bubbling Brook. And the number is 145993.
Hey, that table. Libby, make sure, because that table's been winning a lot. The whole bag. Dory, the whole bag. So this was donated by a committee member, and I cannot recall her name. A very committed, kind, Paula Jacobson. And it's a membership to the YMCA for 3 months with a lot of accessories. So you feel good when you go. Okay,
the number is 145994. 4.
So Abby is So thank our auctioneers. Thank you so very much. Thank you. And steering committee members, please stay for a moment. We just need to convene for a moment. Everyone else, enjoy the sun.